The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, we're the ones who've encouraged you all along to like and share them on your favorite social media and with all your friends and neighbors because it's time for Joanne's World of Nutrition, brought to you by Nutrition World and hosted by Joanne Seeger.
Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. I just got soaking wet. So here in the Treasure Coast, um, here in the Treasure Coast, we have lots and lots and lots of rain, and I try to appreciate everything. Sorry, everybody. We're just trying to figure out my mic. There we go. All
Well,
right, I
now
can
it
hear
worked.
myself.
Okay.
All right, it's that kind of morning. Well, number one, happy to be back with you, sir. It's
Oh,
so good to see you. You're like a miraculous patient. You're just like back on your feet in like a snap.
but the
It's,
time went by real slow for me. I usually
yeah,
have
you were
problems with time.
bored, right?
Yeah, I get bored. I can't. Every time I've tried to take a vacation, most of the time, 3 days is all I can handle.
Yeah,
So
I
I just said,
understand.
but I've taken it all up in hospital visits now.
Yeah, I know, I know. It's like so many people like, oh yeah, or retirement or sickness, and I'm like, gosh, that's so boring. Like, what are you gonna do?
Well, part of what you do was a big part of the procedure that I went through.
Oh, okay.
And when they told me, I asked them, I said, are you going to put a staple in that artery down there to close it up after, or are you going to just put a couple stitches down there? And they said, no, we're going to plug it with Calogen.
I love that.
And
Oh
I
my
thought, I
gosh.
instantly started thinking, wow, Joanne, how'd you like one of those kind of deals where the nearby medical heart unit, we'll say,
Right.
buy 5-gallon buckets of Calogen to, I don't know if it's processed the same way or not, but they do something with it where it actually plugs the hole that a catheter went up into an artery through to bring the new heart valve into place and
Right.
to install it.
And it's so amazing that you're bringing this up because so many things that I've mentioned on the show, even years ago,
Uh-huh.
they are using in hospitals now. And do you know why that is?
Oh yeah,
It's
the
a
information.
crazy, crazy concept. If you put things inside the human body that are synthetic or fake, it
Yeah.
doesn't like it as much if but when it's natural, it loves it
Ah.
and it rebuilds and it regenerates and what a concept, right?
And as the wound around it heals, it absorbs the collagen, and the
Yes.
whole thing will eventually just disappear. I was thinking, well, is it going to like fall off like a scab or like that? It
Yeah.
kind of feels like it's sticking out a little bit, but that's what it does. That's how they work it in
That's
there.
right. The body will know what to do and to trust it.
Yep.
And you are definitely a miracle that you're sitting here right now. I love it. And I did miss you.
Yeah, I don't know how I just keep going through all this stuff, but it's happening.
But it's good. You'll inspire others to
Yeah.
just keep going along,
Oh,
keep
speaking
going
of
along.
inspiring, I got to meet two young nursing students from Kaiser
Oh,
University,
there's tons of them
and
by my
and
house.
and
Yep.
they're in the habit of going from room to room, learning what it's going to be like as they become nurses. Actually, they've become nurses. I think they're working some of their tuition into the situation. Some pretty good deals going on,
I
especially
love
right now.
that.
But these two girls, I was asked by a nurse, would it be okay for them to take a listen to what that murmur sounds like in your heart, so that they'll get an idea of what to expect when they're going from patient to patient, room to room? And I said, sure, go ahead. And they were delightful. They thanked me. They got a good listen to what was going on in there because it was going like thump, squish, thump, squish, thump, squish, because the
Okay.
valve wasn't closing all the way.
Gotcha.
And we knew about that since the heart attack surgery back in 22, October 2nd of 2022. And I was aware of that all. It wasn't something that they had to go back and fix. They had something in there that was going to need to be fixed, but didn't need to be fixed at the moment because when you go through a quadruple bypass, you don't have room for other surgeries at that time. You got
Right.
to take care of what they have to
And
take
they
care of.
have to make sure you're strong enough for
Right.
everything.
Yeah. And I've increased my walking. I don't get out of breath anymore. I walk a half a mile a day so far.
I love
Tempted
that.
to try even further, you
It's
know.
like you're feeling all this new oxygen everywhere, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm breathing, and there's no. I was feeling a pinching sensation. In fact, when I was quiet and laying there going to sleep and stuff, I could hear the squishing of that valve
Wow.
that wasn't closing all the
That's
way.
yeah, that's
That's
a
amazing.
little bit, yeah. So are you up to some breath work this morning?
Oh, breathing is
Because
what.
I'm sure you've been doing it every
Oh,
day for the last 10 years, right?
yeah, but especially when I've been in the doctor's office getting my blood pressure tested.
Ah, right.
When,
I
especially
know.
right there when they do the blood pressure thing, I immediately go into the. I told them it's the Navy SEAL method. Oh, you were a Navy SEAL? No, I was not a Navy SEAL. I used their method though for
That's
breath
right. I
work.
stole it. Don't tell them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah, let's do some breath work. All this rain, my shirt's soaked, my hair's soaked, so I just need to like get back to the focus, okay? So let's everyone just drop their shoulders, relax your eyes, and just breathe out anything that doesn't feel comfortable in the body. So a deep breath out. And then let's just do 2 rounds. We'll do the Navy SEAL method since you mentioned it.
Five and
So
five.
only using your nose, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds hold, 5 seconds out,
Okay.
5 second hold. So 2 rounds, and then we'll get this party started.
All right.
All
Are
right.
you ready? Let everything out. Let's exhale. Now let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. In. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. How you feel now?
Good. I thought
Did
we were
we?
doing another round, but that's good enough. I feel
I thought it went.
fantastic.
I thought we did too.
I know the Navy
I
SEAL
wanted to
that,
go. I
and
wanted to go.
and I do think that's why it's so popular to use like a video or the picture of a square
Mhm.
because you lose track. It's like,
Oh
wait,
yeah,
how many times have I done it?
and you
Yeah,
know if you do it long enough, you could work yourself right into a dream state where you're wide awake but dreaming.
I
And
know. It's
somebody walks in and
cool.
asks you a question, you don't come out of it. You just answer the question and go back to it,
Yeah, I
and
love
you
it.
hold conversations with people while you're doing it.
I love it. And I
That's
want to
amazing.
mention to my locals, so right now we're in summer. Okay, so right now this is airing in June, Treasure Coast, Florida. So a little warm and rainy today. So because the Wellness Center is not as booked as it usually is during season, I am giving our locals extra time on the sound bed. So normally a program runs about 20 to 22 minutes on the sound bed. I am giving them up to 3 programs. So as they're laying there, and I had this young man, he came in and he was feeling out of sorts, and the sound bed really helped him. So he came back again. And that time I had someone booked after him, so I only could do the normal one program. And he's like, he looked at me with those puppy dog eyes. He's like, really? That's it? Oh my gosh. It really feels incredible. So if you want to explore that and you want to check it out, it's only $35 and you can have up to 3 programs, especially during the summer. We're not booking people back to back. So that way you can enjoy it even more and really feel a shift in those emotions and how your body feels. So today's topic is a mixed one, sir, because
Mm.
I have so much on my mind. I'm feeling a little bit scattered because there's so much that I want to talk about, but I'm not really sure how to make it all kind of meld together. But let's just start with something I've brought up before is that social media, the internet right now, is again each and every day hoping that you will fall for their get instantly miraculously better schemes. And I want to tell you, doing this almost 40 years, it breaks my heart because they're using this industry as the one that's promising all of this, just do this and, your postmenopausal belly goes away in a month and just use that and all your allergies are gone in a month and on and on and on. It's just, and they are companies that will last maybe a day, two, a week at the most, and then they change name and then go to a different product. So please, You can call me. And what I tell my customers that send me these things, at 12 o'clock at night and say, hey, what do you think? If it was legit, not only would I be selling it, but I'd be taking it. I'd be size 2. My skin would be perfect. My hair would be locks down to the ground. Like it's very, very a money scheme, and it's disgusting. Honestly, it's taking advantage of millions of people all around the world.
I heard about a guy that made a lot of money, and he was selling what he called solar clothes dryers for $35. And they'd
Oh
get the
gosh, I know
$35
where
and he'd
this is
send them
going.
a piece of rope and 100 clothespins, and
Right.
he'd keep the money, just send them that stuff. And
Oh my Lord.
it was guaranteed, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Solar
sun will dry your
clothing
clothes.
dryer, yeah. And
But
but you
but
gotta watch out for these.
at least it's like playing on the words, but
Yeah,
these people are using famous actresses, they're
yeah,
using AI generated
yeah.
conversations.
Hmm.
The person isn't even saying what it looks like they're saying. They're using people's names and faces that someone will recognize.
Oh
They're
yeah.
doing amazing stories, and now they're so good at it.
Oh
You
yeah.
can't tell the good ones from the bad ones
No,
anymore.
they're so
And
believable. They
yep, and
sound
I
so
and I
nice.
usually say for the most part, the ones that are in business for a while, like just check the Better Business Bureau and just see their rating, how long they've been in business before you give them your credit card. Please do that, okay? Just check the Better Business Bureau and they'll tell you, that if that corporation has been in business for a month or 10 years. If it's less than 10, I'd move on. All right, so that's my first soapbox. All right. The next one is about sunscreens.
Ooh.
So the family vacation is coming up. I'm so excited in 10 days. So for all my local customers and clients, I will be gone on the family summer vacation, June 23rd to the 30th. And my employee Diane will be holding up the front, so she'll be doing great. And on the cruise boats, they say reef safe sunscreen. Now, I have always used natural sunscreens, but my kids, they're just, I could say they really want the spray ones. Sometimes they insist on things that they see others doing.
Yep.
And
Peer pressure.
yep, and there are moments that I feel like the battle's not worth it, especially if it's 1 week out of the entire year, like, right? But those are extremely dangerous to the sea life and the reefs. So I won't, okay, so fine. If my little teenagers are being like, but I'm not going to sacrifice the reef for that decision. So I looked up all these different sunblocks, and do you know there's not one healthy one that's a spray?
Really?
There's not one. I really was saddened by that. So there's no convenient ones that you could trust a teenager to apply. Now, usually I tell people that the vitamin D and the molecules that the sun gives us are way more important than putting chemicals on your skin. But getting burned is also very dangerous too. Like I try to always say, it's like that beautiful homeostasis that the body creates. So if you put any extreme on your body, no matter what it is, then there will be a stressor that will cause cell damage. So with the cruise being that we've all, luckily we're Floridian, so it's not like, we have been avoiding the sun all winter, but you still want to not have anyone in the family get a sunburn and ruin the vacation because they're in pain and their skin is all inflamed. So I have a sunscreen that's by Ohm that I sell, okay, and it's the food grade skincare line that I had the gentleman on. He's scientist from Yale. He's incredible. Everyone's loving the Ohm skincare products, and they do have a sunscreen. So I use it and it's great. And so I just want to tell people out there, if you're really looking for a natural sunscreen, there's very few that are truly natural. I learned that a lot of people are getting deceived. The chemical sunscreens, they're called organic. the ingredients that are chemicals are actually called organic because they don't mean it like as far as the purpose of organic food, like how I always talk about organic. So, right? So if you see organic on the label, you're going to be misled because all those dangerous chemicals that are getting such bad publicity, especially in the last 5 years, they are using that word organic where it's misleading. So I would definitely try to buy sunscreens that are with zinc oxide base. And those are the ones that sit on top of your skin. That's what I'm using to block. And I only use it when I'm going to get more than 20 to 30 minutes of exposure of that middle of the day sun. Okay, so that's where I'm, a light-skinned Irish girl. I can get burned pretty easy. But like where my husband, he never has to use anything. He has that Italian melanin in him, and he always, no blemishes, no skin issues at all. His mom, the same, great skin because they have all that melanin. So our bodies are designed to protect us from the sun. And again, the sun gives us so many molecules. Everyone's familiar with vitamin D, so incredible. In 30 minutes exposure, you can have over 50,000 IUs of vitamin D in your body, which I hope I don't have to tell my audience, but helps the immune system, helps stop cancers, helps strengthen bone density, helps your mood, helps your microbiome, helps all your neurotransmitters. I can go on, and that's just recently discovered about that molecule, about all the amazing things. I guarantee you, year after year, as our technology increases and we can see things in these rays, they're going to say more molecules are needed from the sun, and it's not the other way around. I don't think there's ever a deficiency of chemicals in our body. And by applying sunscreen, I think it's kind of funny that they had to do this big expensive study to prove that when you put sunscreen on your skin, it goes into your blood. I'm mystified why that is surprising and why we needed to do a study for that. And I love when I watch some people on the YouTube, and they're like, oh yes, further studies need to be done is about these chemicals. And I'm like, how many years are we going to risk our population just for the sake of like not advertising zinc oxide and using these chemicals instead? So it's a little frustrating.
High technology did not come from trial and error. It came from scientific investigation, scientific discovery.
Yeah, it just really, really surprises me that so many people just are really like, wow, really? The chemicals get in your blood? It's just, and yeah, and there's so many products now that use the skin to bring in whatever that nutrient or that medication is. So yes, your skin is a large organ that will absorb whatever you put on it. So if it's a chemical, it's a fragrance, especially a mixture of chemicals that have never been researched, yeah, you're going to have some issues. So just be careful of that. Limit your toxic load. You don't have to live in a bubble and be perfect, but just limit your load of toxic exposure, and that way you can feel healthier and you don't have to worry. And again, if I could go back to when my mom used to bring me to the beach and we used to get sunburns all the time, gosh, I love my mom up in heaven, but boy, that was a tough one to overcome in my life. A lot of sunburns when I was young. I remember the first time I went to Florida, I was about 12. And boy, she left us out there on the beach, and we really didn't have money or nothing. She didn't talk about sunscreen or wearing hats or anything. I got third-degree burns, and it was
Ooh.
really bad,
I
really bad.
I fell asleep on a john boat one time,
Oh
and
gosh.
I didn't have a shirt on, and my sunburn was so bad that when all the, how they blister up and they peel off and everything like that, when it was all done, there were freckles all over my back. And I thought,
Wow.
wow, just from one instance of this here. And I've worried about them, and I've kept an eye on them. I haven't had anything, well, not on the back that has grown up here. And I've had a couple of skin tags on the front.
Right.
But they may have come from back then too. But one major sunburn can give you little anomalies your whole life.
Yep. I've had a couple really good doctors in my life when it comes to the skin, and both of them said that it's just like any other type of cancer. It can go back, 30, 40, 50 years. And so instead of just really worrying and just you do each day, you give your body the molecules
Mhm.
that fights the cancers. And that's what I always try to promote, that instead of living in that stress and worry and avoiding life and avoiding the sun, which us Floridians, that's impossible. Of course, I wear the big hats now, and I do only the natural sunscreens, and I haven't had a problem in my adult life once. But it's like you want nutrients, so all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the like selenium, zinc, of course, your grapeseed extract. You know what's really good? So before the break, so we had 3 minutes. I do want to talk about some tricks that my husband uses, and he has the most beautiful skin. So shea butter, olive oil, frankincense, and then I have a jar of the zinc by itself, so the zinc oxide, and of course that's bright white, and most people don't feel like it's very flattering, so they don't want to go out in the sun with it. But you can always use a tinted natural moisturizer with the zinc oxide. But please, one mistake I made that I wasn't aware of, if you have the natural sunscreen but use a little bit of a chemical foundation, that is extremely dangerous, they're finding out. So mixing any chemicals with the zinc oxide is extremely dangerous. And I barely use foundation, but the couple times where the white was a little too white, I would do that. I would dab just a little bit. And I was definitely doing that wrong. So please be aware of that. There's plenty of natural zinc mineral based foundations that have the sun protection as well. So I'm definitely going to be stocking up on all of that for the summer, just to protect my skin. So back to Matt. Okay, so he before he even met me, he was really into frankincense oil. So he had a neighbor that she treated her cancer. If anyone's ever gone into my store, he tells the story all the time. He loves frankincense oil. It is famous biblically, frankincense and myrrh, as felt as helping with not only cancers but just troubling thoughts, clearing your mind, neurotransmitters. It can go on and on. But if you just put a few drops in your favorite cream, hopefully a natural chemical free cream, and use that every day, that helps reduce the inflammation of the skin, helping the skin just have the molecules it needs to heal itself. So remember, if we get the bad stuff, you know, under control, out of the way, and we help promote the good molecules, the good nutrients that the body needs, it knows what to do. It's miraculous. Trillions of cells were already programmed how to run the body. It's when we think we know better than those trillion cells, that's when sometimes things happen. So it's really important. Just try to use common sense. If you're slathering on chemicals every day, morning till night, that could lead to some issues. And so I would definitely suggest the frankincense oil. And if you wanted to try, there is also the theory, and I think it's working for me. I put it to the test. If you increase your melatonin, and it doesn't have to be by a supplement. So if you go into the early morning light, the first 45 minutes of light, then you increase your melatonin stores. And they say the more melatonin you have, not only does it help you sleep and it's anti-aging, but it also helps you have that correct mechanism for your melanin so you do not get the burns. And so I don't know if it's coincidence and I'm just being more cautious, but I was out at New Smyrna for whatever that last holiday weekend was. Was it Memorial Day?
Yeah, Memorial.
Yeah, Memorial Day. I don't keep track of these things. So Memorial Day, and we went to the beach, and it was wonderful, and the water was flat and clear, and I was just out there, and I did not get any burn. The only area I had a bikini on, so my belly hadn't seen sun for a little bit. So yeah, that definitely got pink a little bit. But and I just put the frankincense oil on that and clay. Next week's show is going to be about clay. That is incredible at taking that burn away and calming that skin down, just removing that oxidative stress and help remineralizing the area and calming it down. So we'll talk more in detail about that. All right, sir, if you can give me a break, I'm going to regroup and go on to the next subject.
We shall do just that. You're listening to Joanne's World of Nutrition, brought to you by Nutrition World in downtown Fort Pierce, and we're going to be right back in about 90 seconds.
Hi, this is Joanne from Nutrition World and Wellness Center. I am really excited to introduce new guests and topics to my show every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. here on WPSL, where my listeners can call in on any topic. If I don't know the answer, I'll try to find it. We want to help you become the best version of yourself. We'll have naturopaths, coaches. I am looking forward to sharing my years of experience with my listeners so we can enjoy this life journey together.
Visit Joanne's Nutrition World in the Kras Square, formerly known as the Arcade Building, located at US 1 and Orange Avenue, across from Fort Pierce City Hall. Open Monday through Friday from 10 to 4, Saturdays 10 to 3. Taking appointments for the Wellness Center online at joannesnutritionworld.com or call 772-464-3598. Join Joanne Seeger as she guides the Treasure Coast to health, one person at a time, on Joanne's World of Nutrition, Wednesday mornings at 10 on WPSL.
I am so excited to share with all my listeners all the cutting-edge health topics of today. I look forward to hearing from you. Remember, it's a live call-in show. Any questions you have on health and nutrition, I look forward to answering.
Join us here for Joanne's World of Nutrition every Wednesday morning at 10 on WPSL.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
And as we return, we're getting word of a tornado warning in the Hobe Sound area. Now, the difference between a watch and a warning, the watch means conditions are favorable, but a warning means tornado on the ground, Hobe Sound area right now. And now, back to Joanne's World of Nutrition with the one and only Joanne Seeger.
I feel like I've been hearing more about tornadoes lately than usual, right?
Yeah, they do a lot of damage really quickly.
I know.
They're
I
not
remember last year, like people's patio furniture was at the neighbors, and you know. I don't want to laugh because I know so
winds up
many
in the
people's
pool.
lives are destroyed by them. But in Florida, I feel like we never used to hear about the tornadoes.
I saw a picnic table in a swimming pool one time, and come to find out they put it in there because of the storm coming.
Oh, actually, that's kind of smart, right? Or would
Yeah.
it? I mean, a tornado would probably still pick it up though, even out of a pool, wouldn't
Well,
it?
not if it's submerged under the water.
Oh, that's
The
true.
water might be blown all over the place, but that heavy
I've
old
seen
picnic
too many
table-
movies with like it just
Oh, yeah.
sweeping everything up into it. All right. Well, so again, so for my listeners, I'm kind of doing a few different topics today, trying to get some thoughts out of my brain. So it's not enough to fill a whole hour spot, but just, helping share my thoughts with you. And if you guys have any ideas for future radio show topics or guests, feel free to call the store, call the station, call me, whatever you need to do. So 464-3598, area code 772 for us non-locals. All right. So my new tagline, Cliff, I'm not sure if you've heard this before, but my client said this, and I told her I'm going to totally steal it.
All right.
Inflammation is information. Okay. So why I keep spreading this little, word thing is because a lot of people look at inflammation as the bad guy. Okay. And it can become the bad guy, but it's also the way the body gives us information.
Right.
And so really, please just remember that inflammation is information. Don't ignore it. Whether it be, a red foot, a red elbow, heat around your heart, heat near your jawbone or any redness or anything, this is when you want to kind of sit back, quiet your mind, and just give it some thought. Because whether or not you're visiting doctors regularly or just annually, that is information that will help them so much more, becoming your best advocate to help you resolve this. So if you only go to your doctor once a year, it's usually unlikely that you will have the time and the conversation to tell them all this. But if you keep a little notebook, just be like, hey, like a lot of times, in my lower bowel area, I'm feeling heat or I'm feeling some pain. Like, mark where the spot is, mark how long it lasts, try to see if there's any often like foods or stressors that correlate with that. I'm getting too many people that are texting me, and I'm flattered. I really am. As I'm not a doctor, I am absolutely flattered when clients and customers text me some serious things. But one thing that I'll ask them is, well, did you see, how long it lasted? Did you see if there were any stressors that happened, right before? And they'll be like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know what I ate. I don't know what I did." And it's really important. So whether you believe the way that I believe, which is where your stressors can create illnesses, or you go completely 100% medical, it doesn't matter. Your doctor, the more information you give them, the better they can diagnose and get to the problem quicker.
The key to wellness is self-awareness.
I love that. I love that. The key to wellness is self-awareness. I love that.
Listen to your body. It's telling you something.
It does, and it always does, each and every day. And sometimes we do make up stories because of information we heard, whether it be our brother, our uncle, or our neighbor. We kind of just feed into theirs and then make it our own. So it is really, really important that you're aware of just the little signals your body is telling you, because it all matters. There's nothing that's no big deal, especially when it comes to inflammation, because if it's acute, it's just trying to tell you something. If it's chronic, it's going to start this whole disease or illness pathway that you probably rather not be on. I don't know anyone that really wants to sign up for illnesses. I hope not. So,
No, they just
So
sort of happen all by themselves.
right. So, all right. So, my next note, okay, is about zinc. Okay. So, I know I talked about zinc as far as the sunblock, but zinc deficiency is coming up now. If you are able, whether it be in your insurance or a cash payment, you can test your zinc levels in your body. Now, it's really tricky though with minerals, because blood levels are different than what's actually happening in the organs and tissues and bones, but it can still give you a starting point. But grains, if you needed a couple extra reasons why not to eat grains in abundance, especially processed grains, is the grains stop the zinc absorption. Okay, so there are famous people that are all throughout all social media channels and YouTube that explain, but it is legit what they say. I learned this back in Boston many years ago. So if you do not pressure cook or Instapot, that's the new word, right, for your grains, then the phytic acid will block the absorption of the zinc. So there are so many people are like, well, I don't want to do keto, or I don't want to do carnivore, or, I love my grains. So the one thing that you can't argue about whether or not you want to be low carb or not is the quality of the grain, and what, meaning processed or not processed, or if the phytic acid is going to block your nutrients. Because I did on another show, and I'm trying to find the list. Oh my gosh, it was so scary. When you have the flour products that come from these processed grains, all the bins that they're kept in, they have fungicides, they're sprayed with pesticides and insecticides. So not only are they stripped with anything that's nutritious, but they're held in these big silos with the most toxic ingredients. And think about that. If like when my store was much larger and I had a grocery section, I would have to take all the grains and flours and put them in the freezer as soon as they came off the truck. Why? Because bugs wanted to eat them. If they're natural and they don't have anything stopping the bugs, they love them. They absolutely love them. But these things that are staying on our supermarket shelves, don't you ever wonder why there's no bugs in them? Because of this, because they're spraying these silos with insecticides, fungicides, pesticides. It's really disgusting.
In biblical times, a lot of the grains would go poisonous if stored
Yes,
improperly. Bacteria would grow in them,
absolutely.
mold and things like that. And
Yes.
people would die from eating it.
Right. So that's the thing is that, I don't really care what people choose as far as vegan, vegetarian, keto, carnivore, but processed and chemicals really don't have a place for the human body. Yes, we've adapted. Our bodies are incredible, they're miraculous. They will adapt to a lot of our choices. They'll put up with so much. But why push areas that are just really evident? There are Instapots that you can buy at everywhere now that are so economical. So you can throw your grains in that. Sprouted grains, even better. I always suggest the King Arthur flour. I think that the word is definitely spreading because I went to Walmart with the kids for their grocery shopping, and they had tons of rows of King Arthur. Now, I remember never being able to find it there. I used to have to get it at Publix, and now there's rows and rows. So I think the awareness is growing that King Arthur doesn't have bromides, chlorides, and fluorides.
Seeing a lot of supplements in grocery stores now, too.
Yes, yes, and I hate them. I hate them. I'm sorry to say. I'm
They're
so
not top
glad there's,
quality.
yeah, and again, it's not about my store versus them at all. I tell people just look at the labels, look at the ingredients. For me, Cliff, you know how hard it is for me to find companies that are clean? There's a handful. There's not even a handful. There's probably less than a handful. Like I'll look at some of my ingredients and be like, okay, I know this works, so I'll put up with this or that. But it's so hard to get really clean things because just like in the flower industry, they have tabling machines. They have things that need to move and so they don't cake into the molds. And I mean, I can give you a million reasons why they're not perfect, but it doesn't make me happy. So these companies that are being sold for the cheap, whether it be online or at these big box stores, you just turn them over, artificial colors, chemical stabilizers, dunking, it's like they're dunking the pills into paint to make them look pretty and shellacked. That's what they do. They dunk them into paint. So, they call it edible, just like they call red dye and blue dye, but it's not. It's dangerous. So I usually say if you can't afford the higher end supplements, you are honestly better off without it. Like I mentioned, like say you want vitamin D, instead of buying a gummy that has 5 grams of sugar in it and artificial colors, maybe consider just doing that 20 minutes of first morning daylight and get, good 20,000 IUs that way. And that way your body will use what it needs and not use what it doesn't. So just an idea. So I told you I was on a little rant this morning,
That's
right?
all right. See, the Joanne's rants are the most
Oh my
educational
God.
portions of this show.
Oh my gosh. And I am so guilty right now. On the next page of that note about the flower.
Uh-oh.
So, like I said, I am trying to really, in my household, just kind of put the energy out there of what is a better choice, but not try to control everything. Because it was driving me crazy trying to control all the kids. And now they're much older, especially my son. So they buy the breakfast sandwiches a lot, the ones that they microwave. And it was that, or they were going to go to Wawa and buy theirs. And they're buying them themselves, right? And it really frustrates me. And boy, the next page of notes was about breakfast sandwiches and all the different chemicals that are in it.
Big
And
eggs and cheeseburgers.
oh my gosh, there's one chemical in the breakfast sandwiches that's called alloxin, and it induces literally diabetes and destroys the pancreas. Isn't this
Wow.
right? So I was totally meant to see this, and I hope that, my kids are listening to the show, right? So maybe the days of breakfast sandwiches are over. And how fast is and easy is it to make eggs, right? It's so easy. It's like, but yeah, so
We need to recall sugar.
right? Oh gosh, that would never happen. Oh my gosh, there would be like such an uprising, like civil unrest. But what I usually say is instead of like going as far as that, let's just start with the chemicals. Like they are doing better with I think you were here when I said this, that in 2027 there are chemicals that are being banned. They're aware of them now. They are making the list of what needs to be banned, but they're giving the company 2 years to pull it off the market. I'm like, that is insanity. I know I've brought this up before, but I think it's insanity. You know that it causes tumors, you know that it's harmful, and massive amounts are being sold.
Yeah.
Massive. But yet they're still allowing it to be sold. It's just a little crazy. All right, and then so gosh, yeah, I'm totally ranting this morning. All right, let's go to my next note. All right, here we go. I won't be so crazy. All right. So we do have a special this month on a product, and I've been selling it for years, and so that brought my attention to it. So MCT oil. Do you remember what MCT oil is, sir?
What's the MC
All right.
acronym?
So, medium chain triglyceride. It got really popular with the anti aging and the brain crowd, like all these podcasts about helping improve brain function, intermittent fasting, just helping just you be able to not eat but still have a lot of brain power. People were using MCT oil. Well, Matt and I kind of followed along that bandwagon because I was using MCT oil before it got popular for my Candida clients. So a lot of females and males have an overgrowth of Candida, a yeast species that can make life a little miserable, whether show up as an allergy or bloating or indigestion or leaky gut or just incredible cravings for alcohol or sweets or carbohydrates. So, like I always use the example, if 3 o'clock comes around and you are going to have a sweet drink or a cocktail and you don't care whatever reason you are there and you are eating it or drinking it, then it's probably Candida. I call it the sugar monster. And the sugar monster hates MCT oil. Okay, so I'll tell females, if you have a yeast infection downstairs and you feel like irritated, put the MCT oil right on it. Have a squirt bottle right in the restroom as soon as you urinate, and then just squirt the MCT oil on it, because I mean, there are statistics about using toilet paper and the chemicals in that. So that's a whole nother show.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it's
It's
so
dangerous.
bad.
Wow.
It's so dangerous. The chemicals and that's such a vulnerable area, and so you're just really taking the most. Remember we talked about white flour and how dangerous it is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, times it by 100 times for the toilet paper, the white toilet paper. Tons of chemicals, and it's going right there in your most private, special, delicate area.
I've been seeing over my lifespan, which is a long time, that the different brands of toilet paper, there's the soft, cozy, cushy stuff,
Yep.
and then there's the sandpaper
Yep.
type of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Which one do you suppose is
If
more
I try to
dangerous?
change my toilet paper to natural, there's an uprising. So,
Yeah.
so my employee Diane did show me a commercial that with a natural toilet paper. I am going to give it a try to see if it can hold up and, if it's actually usable. Some of them are real thin.
Yeah, it might be
So-
too biodegradable.
Right,
Way.
exactly. I mean, some of them really are, but it definitely, it goes along with the whole breakfast sandwich thing. We know the chemicals are there, so you just pick what you can control. And again, keep the toxic level manageable to your body. And if you know that your organs aren't doing good, your liver enzymes are elevated, you have fatty liver, your kidneys aren't functioning as they were, these are things that won't make your situation better. So if you get rid of these, I mean, to me, it's easier to get rid of toilet paper than eating bread. Like, I love bread. So I would rather give up my toilet paper and my other chemicals than bread. That is just me being honest. So just keep that in mind, that you control what you can take into your body, whether it be through breath, skin, or diet. Okay. So just try to keep those toxic exposure lower. So back to the MCT oil. So the MCT oil, the medium chain triglycerides, it's from coconut, but it has all these different fatty acids that are absolutely incredible. The one that I favor is caprylic acid. Okay, it's also famous for being it's a prescription for yeast infections, and I think capricin, was it? No, that I think that's the pepper. So I'm getting it confused with the name. So MCT oil eats the fungal wall. It loves eating up the fungus, so that way it can't stay in the body and just cause havoc. So when you take it alone, it also helps you go to the bathroom naturally. And I love this because so many of us still have so much waste in our colon. We're usually excited in America to have one bowel movement a day, but if you think of an infant, every time they eat, they would have a bowel movement after. We don't expect that of ourselves anymore. We're just like, okay, I want that one time a day, and that's what we make time for. But usually, the body works with getting that waste product right out, and MCT oil helps that. So if you're not going regularly, or you'd like to go more than once a day, the MCT oil will also help you get rid of that waste stuff before, God forbid, it backs up if you have leaky gut and goes into the bloodstream. So I do it now with my decaf coffee. Yes, happy to say I'm caffeine free. Ooh, what a journey that was. And so just I put a teaspoon in. I think Matt does a tablespoon. Some of the mentors do 6 to 9 tablespoons a day. I don't think I can handle that. In my belly, but maybe. So the one spoonful does the trick. It helps your alertness in the morning, gets you a little, it's actually called ketone energy because it does give you a little bit of energy, okay? And again, really good feeling in the body. So you can use it instead of a creamer. I think everyone's aware that creamers have usually chemicals or artificial ingredients.
Corn
Or,
syrup.
yeah, so much junk in them. So the MCT oil gives your coffee a nice creamy feel. We use an immersion blender. We also put our mushrooms in. We don't buy one of those mushroom coffees. We make our own because I want to know where my mushrooms come from. So we do the decaf coffee that's organic, water processed, the little bit of mushroom, the little bit of MCT oil, blend that. And I'm telling you, you're on fire. You don't need the caffeine. So those info commercials about saying that the coffee drinks without the caffeine, they do help your brain. That is legit. So the mushrooms, especially lion's mane and the MCT oil being a ketone, passes the blood-brain barrier, feeds with the ketones instead of using glucose. It is great to wake up the brain and really, really just help you feel better. There is a study too about the MCT oil and weight loss. And so that one was a 12-week study, and there was 2 groups, one of course without and one with, right? And the one that had the MCT oil actually had significant decrease in body fat mass versus the control group. So it's again not a type of fat that will, add weight on you. I think it's really known now that fat does not make you fat, quite the opposite. But I still wanted to just really prove that with one study because some people are still kind of avoiding egg yolks and the fat on meat and such. So I just want to bring that up.
You want to you want the fat to go away on your body? Well, don't feed it any sugar. See, once you burn off the sugar, then your body gets to burn off the fat. But if you don't make way for the fat to be burned away without, taking care of that. Sugar can really, really affect your health.
Yeah,
Very
I
negative.
love it. And you know what, Cliff? I love that, you go on these sugar conversations, and I love it because really sugar is so addictive and so dangerous, and it's really hard to get off it. And so I'm so thrilled that when you bring it up. So this is my last rant. Okay. So a new study came out. Now, keep in mind, most of these studies are done outside the United States. I don't know if this is coincidence or not, but it's about the dangers of statins. Okay, $1 trillion industry, a difficult conversation to have with many people because just like you, sir, I'm sure they basically told you take this or you will die. They put the fear of God in you, but just so everyone knows, the LDL that for many, many years was called the bad guy, they have shown now clinically, okay, that its main job in the human body is to kill the most deadly strains of bacteria. So, like, there's a couple strains of Staphylococcus that are extremely dangerous, gram-negative bacteria, and so the LDL is the one that inactivates that. All right, so I believe that our Creator made our body specifically with every single thing having a job. Nothing in our body is there by mistake. But sometimes we do have a lifestyle, like we were just talking about chemicals and sugar and stress, where we're not aware of the damage that could be done or will be done. And so, again, it's on us to accept that, but at the same time we are trying to fix our bodies and putting them back together, and I get that, but just keep in mind that prevention is the best way for health, because once things get broken, it's kind of a little difficult, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, right? We all want to live well. And so, all right. So, everyone, get your fresh air, drink some water, eat some healthy nutrients, and zinc is found a lot in pumpkin seeds. So, if you've never tried pumpkin seeds, give it a try. And also, water. Look at my husband. Do you see this water bottle, Cliff? Is this not the hot pink water bottle? I always lose my water bottle. So he found one that's the most brightest, obnoxious color on the planet. So I'll never lose it.
Matches my high heels. All right.
Right? All right, everyone. I hope you have a great week. And I'll be back next week talking about bentonite clay.
You've been listening to Joanne's World of Nutrition, brought to you by Nutrition World, US 1 at Orange Avenue across from City Hall. This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.